Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Brian, and I have been getting a lot of questions lately about D2C shipping and about how Spirit shipping works, how it's different from wine. Like I said, my name's Brian, and I run a company called BFX Commerce. We're based out of Chicago, and what we do is we help wine, beer, and spirit companies and non-alc really try to grow their brand online through D2C, through marketing. And I just wanted to go over a few things today because I get a lot of questions and I think it'd be just generally helpful to record a video. And I did not write a script for this, and that's going to be pretty obvious probably. But I've got a few different topics here that I want to go through. So I want to talk about all these things kind of briefly, regulations, logistics, and the shipping and the warehousing. I want to talk about technology, and I want to talk about marketing and how those things are all going to affect the way you approach a project like this, and different things to think about. So hopefully this can be helpful for somebody out there if you're interested. So, um, you know, first off, I want to just kind of define what D2C alcohol is and what isn't. So, um, this is like the dictionary definition, right? Direct to consumer shipping allows spirit companies to sell products directly to consumers bypassing traditional retail channels. Cool. All right, what does that mean? Like in a practical sense. So, um, shipping from your own digital platform is really how I qualify D2C. So that does not mean you are necessarily shipping the product yourself, right? So I break this into two buckets. So one, you could be shipping from your facility, right? You could have uh, some sort of arrangement locally where you're able to package, get that product into a box, and ship cross country or locally or whatever it is. You could be using your own delivery service, or you could be shipping not from your facility. So that could mean you have a retail partner, you have somebody that you're working with, and this allows you to reach some new areas or some areas that you already have access to. And this is like a lot of what we talk about when we talk about D2C. It's the not from your facility, but working through a retail partner. And this is the thing that makes it like so complicated, right? Um, not from your facility. So uh, it makes it complicated, right? Because you're now not just like packaging up your own stuff and shipping it out. But the key to this is really that the shipping is from your own or managed digital platform. That doesn't mean you don't necessarily own the technology. Doesn't mean you wrote all the code. It doesn't mean you did even anything to build your own website. But at the end of the day, you've got to be able to get access to it. And I'll show you kind of specifically how I frame this up when I think about the digital platforms. So, um, because they come in a lot of shapes and sizes and different flavors. And so what is D2C not? And so this can be sometimes confusing. So for us, pushing orders to another website is not D2C. I know this could be a really, really, really important part of your business, right? Say you've got like 70% of your sales coming through Total Wine or through Specs or whatever it is. Um, you still want to push sales to those places. It's the core definition of that omni-channel strategy that you understand both the importance of your D2C in your e-commerce and your in-store restaurant, retail, classic on-trade, off-trade sort of thing, right? Um, this is where 100% of your sales could be going right now. And that's a totally normal thing for a lot of companies to have everything going through other websites. And I've only got kind of like some of these bigger brands here, but like you could have a convenience store, for example. I don't know. Maybe you've got like a local liquor, like a really good uh liquor liquor store partnership. Here I'm based out of Chicago, and Binny's, right? Binny's is big. Garfield's. I think it's a apostrophe S. Doesn't matter. All right. So once you're pushing these to another site and you do not have the ownership of the platform, we are not going to call that D2C. We're going to call that something else. We're just going to call that, standard marketing best practice. Then you have this kind of like gray area, um, where you could have the shipping coming from your facility, right? You could be using something like a DoorDash, or I think Grubhub might provide some of these services, and there's some other ones out there. Um, Mileage may vary at the end of the day, right? Uh, the gray area is because we don't necessarily do or do not have the control over the pixels and some of the like technical aspects of the site. So is this going to be D2C? I don't know. It's kind of gray area, right? If it's coming from your not from your facility, like a local liquor store, and you're pushing orders to DoorDash for customers to kind of like look into different opportunity, different ways to buy your product, right? So say you're selling like a mezcal and you sell it in a lot of different locations, but you've got a link to DoorDash on your site, and it pops up with a search box and it goes straight to your mezcal product. If it's not coming from your facility, first off, like it's not even close to D2C. If it's coming from your facility, so mezcal might be a good one. Maybe you have a bourbon, maybe it might be D2C. So that's where we have this like gray area. Okay. Um, for all intents and purposes, we don't really do a whole lot from this, like for BFX Commerce. Like if you're doing DoorDash from your facility, we're gonna take this in a different type of marketing approach than we would for like more conventional, off the shelf type of D2C opportunities. Um, so it's complicated, but why is this even worth it, right? So number one, this came out like literally today. I'm recording this on the 24th. So 81% of craft spirit drinkers want D2C shipping laws changed. And if you're getting these types of emails, you know exactly, what the kind of consensus is out there. Folks want to get their product shipped, and it is confusing. It's purposely like heavily regulated. There's a lot of interests in the industry for folks that do and do not want these shipping laws changed. So, um, listen, at the end of the day, the folks that want to get these shipping laws changed want to order online, and there's going to be a segment of your market that is probably in this 81%, right? Um, I've got kind of like a raw number here from Park Street. Okay, $977 million in alcohol e-commerce sales, and this is across a bunch of different categories. They roll this up kind of broadly, but um, this is not a small pie. There's a big pie here that you guys can start chasing and start thinking about. So there's a lot of money to be made in this space. Uh, and not just from a money perspective, but we've got some like kind of tangible things here from a data perspective that you really want to be thinking about as you're going down this D2C path. So um, I have this: more data equals better decisions. And why are they better? So number one, you get customer data. This is the who bought from you and how they got there, right? If you are thinking about this in big picture terms, right? You're able to think about, okay, well, if I have my email, I could possibly append data to that email. I could work with another service that can do it for me. We can try to understand uh, who it is that's actually buying from us, not just from a location standpoint, right? But okay, now we've got their shipping address, we've got their billing information. Okay, now we can understand their zip codes, their demographics, people that look like them, people that don't. Like, how does this compare to our in-store customer? How does it compare to the things that we assume to be true in the marketplace, right? And so you're doing this like dance between what you think is true and your existing decisions, right? And your new decisions, right? So existing decision, I don't know, I can't spell, but you get what you get where I'm going here. Decision versus new data and better decisions. So that's going to help you develop your in-store marketing programs. Maybe you're going after different on-trade opportunities, right? You might think, okay, well, I'm a high-end product. Only the most like richest of the rich are going to be after us. Well, actually, no, you're a good aspirational brand for a lot of folks, and maybe there's some down market opportunities, right? So you want to just make better decisions. Second one here, sales data. Okay, so this should be pretty straightforward, but the products that are resonating online for customers are probably the ones that are resonating in store. When they are, it makes it easier. When they're not, then you've got more data, right? More data equals better decisions. And then the third one is demand data. So you can kind of get creative with the way that you market, the way that you create wish lists and want lists, and your tagging and data attribution to understand, okay, I'm selling in, I'll use Illinois, right? I'm selling in Illinois. What does it look like if I want to expand to Wisconsin? All right. So how many customers do I have there? Can I launch some affordable marketing programs to try to drive a little bit of a demand so that when I go to a distributor in Wisconsin, I'm not coming there empty-handed, right? I've got a list of 250, 300, 1,000, 10 million people, right? It doesn't matter. That already are asking for the product that we have, and we've got really good analytics to say, all right, all those people in that location really want our product, and hey, distributor, you should pick us up, right? It becomes a really compelling type of conversation. Um, so I want to do this over here because I think I'll move this guy out of the way for a second. Um, I want to do this because I want to kind of show the categories here because I think it's important, and I'll do a wine video later. But I want to just compare from like a red, yellow, green perspective these four categories. So wine, really the most open of the regulatory structures. If you are already selling wine online, like yes, absolutely. It is like made really easy for you to do so. And I think that if you have the opportunity, you gotta find those things to do. Um, the carriers like UPS, FedEx, they have like processes already for folks that are shipping wine that you can plug into. Signature delivery, wine declarations. Um, the key is the like ABV. So that like a lot of these carriers will create an ABV level that you can and cannot ship under, and it just happens to be that wine fits, right? So um, there's good consumer demand for this category online, so especially if you're actually doing the work of trying to market your company. And wineries and importers slash brands have different rules. So if you are a winery in California, it is very different than if you are an importer based out of, again, Illinois, right? So uh, having that physical manufacturing and location will give you different permissions and possibilities. Uh, discounting the state sort of like differences on that too. But if you're producing, you just have different opportunities than if you're not producing. Next, beer. Beer's kind of like, all right, if you're doing D2C on beer and you're rocking and rolling, I really want to hear from you because I want to know how you're doing it and what is working and what's not working because this is such a challenging category, right? Overall, good regulatory because of the ABV, but the packaging issue is like nuts because you are shipping so much physical liquid in a lot of these cases, and it's just heavy, right? And you've got to do signature delivery and all the other stuff that's required of everything else. But like you're not just shipping, like if you've ever picked up a case of beer, like it's a lower cost for for the consumer, therefore lower margins for you as a producer. Um, Frankly, folks shop for beer in store. So that doesn't mean you can't succeed from a lot of these digital marketing perspectives. And you might want to just have D2C as an opportunity for yourself, um, because there's some other options that, don't forget, where are we at, right? More data equals better decisions. So having low demand doesn't necessarily mean that you're out of luck. Okay. Spirits, this is who we're talking about today. So put a little little thing around there. Um, it's just a tough regulatory environment. And if you're in this and you're doing this on a regular basis, you already know that, right? So it's a tough regulatory environment. Carriers are relatively unfriendly because of the ABV issue again, right? So having a high ABV puts you in a difficult place to be able to ship with under your own license. Um, Never mind like the state issues, right? There is a high consumer demand, 81%, right? Craft spirit drinkers want this. And you're reliant on retail shippers to have the license. Um, Not necessarily a bad thing, right? But it is like the nature of the beast for spirits. Non-alc, that's always interesting, right? So it's a food item, can be sold in a lot of places, and there's good consumer demand. Um, eh, this actually can qualify for some THC and CBD opportunities too. So if you're selling those types of products, you might be able to still be able to get some good like sales online through non-alc. So just something to think about. And maybe we could do a video on that later to talk about how things like Amazon do and don't fit to that sort of dynamic. So um all right, so next, we're over here and we're talking about on and off trade sales versus D2C. I don't know why I read that backwards. D2C versus on and off trade sales. So brand growth, number in case it's not abundantly clear already, but the greens are good, the reds are bad, and the yellows are just kind of yellow. So why are we doing this? We're trying to make brand growth. We are trying to get our brand name out there. We are trying to leverage D2C for different opportunities. We are trying to own email addresses. We are trying to get uh, different things unlocked for our brand so that we can expand content. We can expand the awareness opportunities. Um, and I have this: consumers research brands. Let's think about where they research brands, right? Social media, your website. Great, done. Right. So you want to make sure that you have a website that can stand up to somebody looking you up, right? So that means good images, good data, good text, uh, good information about your product, right? Your story. Um, Next, you have a little bit of margin control over this. This is like a very kind of like iffy situation for some companies and the way that they've got their their relationships with their distributor partners, their retail, their like state legislation can sometimes come into factor here. But like generally speaking, you have some margin control over like what you offer online and don't, and you might be able to get some better margins through D2C sales than you do for case sales. And I don't think that's necessarily a rule, but you at least control it. Um, Data and insights, we talked about more data equals better decisions, and then new markets. So everyone's trying to expand when you're a new brand, right? So you want to be able to kind of leverage your data, your digital to expand to new markets. Some of these retail partners can do it, but then you also now are unlocking opportunities for yourself to advertise to get your name out there. So why not do D2C? Well, first off, it can be simply more confusing than kind of getting some boots on the ground and trying to sell your product, right? So on and off trade sales, you're probably doing this all day, every day. D2C, it can just be a confusing thing to try to unwind and unlock in order to get this to work. And working is like it sometimes in like scare quotes, right? Working, like it's working. So I wanna just kind of sympathize with you guys for a second that it can be really confusing to get this to work. It can also be really expensive because if you make bad decisions, you could be like in a hole really quickly with some of the things that you're trying to set up and ads and different services, and you don't want to. This is bad. It can be really expensive to do DTC if you're not doing it the right way. You need some technical experts. You need folks that know what they're doing online and with these services in order to make sure that they work properly. And you need functional experts. You need people that understand alcohol. You need people that understand that your markets are your markets, and stop trying to send advertising to a place that uh, you can't ship to, or might not have like a good regulatory structure for D2C. Um, you need folks that understand the industry, and that's kind of everywhere, but especially in this business. Um, this is my this is my wall of ice cream, right? What are the regulations? So you'll hear me say, if we talk 50 states equal 50 different flavors, right? So depending on where you are in the United States, and I know I'm talking to a very heavy United States group right now, but if you are trying to do things in the states, you are looking at 50 different versions of basically the same law over and over and over again. Um, that's the three-tier system, and I don't have a slide for this, but essentially three-tier system. If you're new to this, uh, you've got manufacturers, and that's basically the brands and producers, right? And so that sometimes includes importers, sometimes it doesn't, but 99% of the time, I think includes your importer folks. Then you have distributors, which could be in some locations you could in some locations, some it might not be, right? It could be somebody else that you need to contract with. And the third tier is on and off trade. So this is what we this is what we are trying to unlock out of this three-tier system. We are trying to unlock this on and off trade where many times the regulatory structures don't allow us to sell directly to consumers. We've got to get to here. Can I get like a little arrow going over here? We've got to jump over the distributors or work somehow within our structure of the state and federal regulations to get to the on and off trade opportunities. So, what types of restrictions, right? Sometimes you can or can't take a payment from a customer. I'd say most of the times you can't, right? Depending, there might be some opportunities in different states, but generally speaking, you can't even take the payment from the customer. So you've got to get somebody to help you with that. Uh, Also, the tax, right? Depending on where you are, you might have to collect tax in a location that you don't really even have any sort of relationship with. So how do you do that? Okay, so you've got to get a system. Where's your system come from? You can see how these questions can kind of pile on each other. Next is the interstate shipping. So this is like out of state, interstate. So you want to get your product across the country. Sometimes you can do that, sometimes you can't. It really depends on, again, the state regulation of whether um, it's allowed and whether you have like reciprocity between the states. And then finally, you've got intrastate shipping with carrier restrictions. So I pulled up these two, right? So one is Texas. Texas is notorious for being really hard to ship. So, with nuance, essentially they only allow in the county shipping. So that means if you're running a uh, distillery in Texas and you're in Dallas, you can only ship to Dallas in that area. Indiana has even another set of laws around it and is generally unfriendly to D2C shipping. Um, and it has to be an employee that carries that product or that drives the product drives the product to the consumer. So do you now have to get insurance for that employee? Like, heck yeah, you do, right? They're in a car. You have to protect them. So, um, do they use their own car? Are you getting a van? It kind of can get to be a little problematic. So, um, I say this: always work with your lawyer. You got to figure this out like, unfortunately, for your own jurisdiction, this is so complicated. Um, and like only a lawyer is gonna that you work with and trust is gonna be able to kind of like figure this out for you. If you don't have like a good legal background yourself to be able to peel through the uh, peel through the legislation yourself. Um, so that brings us to the technology side. So uh, I've got this kind of dynamic here of like owning the platform and not owning the platform. So what does that mean? Um, there are lots of technology players out there that are going to be able to help you process payment, provide like good fulfillment structures, uh, and give you just opportunities all over the place to be able to ship your product D2C. And like I said, I'll go into what owning the platform kind of means because it's different for each one of these groups. We have relationships across the board with lots of folks, so if you need help kind of going through that, reach out, leave a comment, send us an email, and we can help you with that. Uh, if you do not have access to the platform for the transaction, like we really just don't recommend it. And so I'm not going to go and kind of put people on Front Street for some of this, but like ask some serious questions, right? And I'll get to my gray area here in a second. But your technology checks really need to be the ability to add pixels for tracking. Can you do it? If you can, you own the platform. And I'll put that in quotes. Do you get ownership of the data, right? What's the whole point of this? Where is it? More data equals better decisions. So you want to be able to own the data for your customers and try to get that to help you grow and expand. And then the ability to fix issues. This is like kind of an interesting one because you want to be able to improve your checkout, cross market your products, help your consumer get the thing they want faster. And so the ability to fix issues either yourself or with a partner or with your service provider, you've got to be able to like build that trust in, right? That you can get a service provider to kind of do what you want and listen to you and have this like ability to fix issues. And it's like this is a very broad category. Um, but I like the like example of like the cross marketing, right? Hey, we noticed that we've got a bundle going out the door every 10 transactions or something. We want to get that bundle now to every like 8 transactions or 7 transactions. Can we cross market it even harder, right? We want to hear from the technology provider, the folks we're working with. Oh yeah, we can definitely do that, right? If you don't hear that, then um it's it's tough sledding, right? Because you're always just like offering the same type of experience over and over again. Um I've got another gray area box. So what's the gray area? So I think that any one of these platforms can work, but you need to understand the logistics and the shipping of the whole thing, right? That depending on this guy, right? Always look with your lawyer to see what you can and can't do. You might be setting yourself up for a problem. If you are using your own shipping, if you are sending from your facility, or you're using some sort of like weird unlicensed character that you met, in the dark web, and now like, oh, they're shipping alcohol for you, great. But it's cheap because they don't have a license, but don't worry, like they've got they're sending it to their buddy. This can be gray area. Um unless you're kind of like partnering up one of these services with these guys, and um, you're you can either do a subdomain opportunity from one of them, or can drop a button that they've provided, and you're doing like some type of like harder integration. uh, I build tons of Shopify sites for folks because we do the necessary to kind of link them up here to own the platform and own the fulfillment, or to pass off that like fulfillment aspect, because they can't, but they can do some of the upfront from a content perspective in order to really do good like e-commerce operations, even if they're not doing the fulfillment. So just be cautious. You don't necessarily want to set up your own DTC, is what I'm trying to say. um, so what does that mean? So then I built this out. So this is like the simple version. Try to fit my title in here. How to market your new website, which sounds kind of like simplistic, right? I've got this one. Blue equals prepare a media budget. Green is just kind of like a general label. So what are each one of these? So email. Email is table stakes, right? If you look at this timeline, it's right at the beginning of the timeline. You want to make sure that you've got an email system that's capturing email, that is tagging people at least where they came from like a marketing standpoint, and you are collecting email addresses. You have to get this up and running early. Even if you barely have a product out there in market, collect email addresses. Like eh, any good reputable system. We love Klaviyo around here. To these things are going to be able to collect and help process your email addresses and give you opportunities that downstream you're going to be like dying for. So the second thing right at the front is SEO. So that means you want to make your site in a way that is well structured, that is passing to Google, that is getting searched at least a little bit, right? And you can show up for your branded searches. So if you've got something like, you've got BFX bourbon, right? You want to show up for BFX bourbon, at the very least. Okay. And then social media. And then this is something that if you're not doing from day one, like try it, right? YouTube videos, shorts, reels. If you want to go on Twitter and try to do that too, go be my guest. But you've got to get some sort of social media presence. Instagram is table stakes, period. Instagram is table stakes. It depends whether or not TikTok is going to be good for you, based on the content that you produce, frankly. Um, but got to do Instagram. Next, content marketing. So this could be blogs, recipes, stories. This is a very broad bucket, and it's generally like your text, your video. You want to provide some sort of continual feed out there for the awareness piece, right? So you've got to get people to be able to find and discover you, and there's lots of different ways to do this. And then if we go down the timeline here, right? SEM. So search engine marketing. At the very start, I would recommend just focusing on shopping opportunities. Um, we work with a lot of brands that are at different stages, and so you might be a good candidate for branded campaigns, or you might be a good candidate for unbranded campaigns. Say that you just sell a uh, bourbon with strawberry notes or something. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. Or it's infused with some sort of like crazy pineapple concoction. Um, those might be terms that you want to bid on because you want to appear a little bit higher in search rankings for those types of things that you're not appearing for naturally. Those that's like the Google ads, the Bing ads, those sorts of things. Next down the timeline here, I say go for influencer content before display ads because there is opportunity to use this influencer content back here. Okay. And to get folks producing really good content for you, not just here, actually. I'm gonna make a quick edit. You're gonna go back to social, and these arrows are going everywhere, but go back to social and then go back to content marketing. Okay. Influencer content doesn't have to be expensive, but you do need to prepare a media budget for it, right? So this is you're not going to be able to get away with offering free product because you're an alcohol brand to a lot of these places. So um, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Like again, it's all really going to depend, but you can get this content to be able to like leverage more brand opportunities, right? And maybe use their network of broadcasting, maybe not, right? Maybe it's just a private arrangement where they produce the content and they pass it back to you, and now you've got this like great sort of like social engagement style of content that you can post on your feeds. And then the last thing to think about is display ads. So this could be a few different things, but Instagram ads, Facebook ads, programmatic, like, ESPN.com sort of like marketing. Like this is usually down the line here, but when I open up conversations with a lot of like young brands, they're like craving to get like these display ads. If you have the budget, it might be worth it. That's my answer to that. So like it's generally an expensive proposition to get down here. So I should probably put it in like dark blue if I even have that. I don't really even have a dark blue, but you guys get where I'm going with this. So more affordable, less affordable. Okay. And there's other things that you can do here, but I think for most folks, if they were just like rocking and rolling on four out of these five, six, seven things, like you are doing pretty good for yourself. Okay. Um, let's see. So uh in conclusion, because this has already gone on for close to 40 minutes. So compliance first. Okay. So you have to be in like good standing with the regulatory to make sure that you've got a good shipping experience for everybody and a good stay out of jail free card, right? So next, operational efficiency. You want to partner with specialized fulfillment and logistics. Don't just like try to find your neighbor or some guy off the street to do it for you. Third, focus on the consumer experience, and that means like getting back here, you want to own the platform. You want to be able to like own the data, ability to get pixels, ability to fix issues, and like more data equals better decisions, right? And then lastly, you want to just get some like good marketing out there. This is a awesome platform for you to do. What was I even typing on that one? Great. So get the storytelling, good exclusive access for customers, and just like build exactly what you are trying to do, which is your brand experience, your content, and new customers. So if you have any questions, comment, email, subscribe. I probably won't be doing too many of these videos, but subscribe. And so when I have another, 40-minute sort of thing going on, you can be the first to know. So thanks. Appreciate you.